Welcome to another episode of Real Life PMP Podcast, where I dive deep into the world of project management. I'm your host, Crystal Richards, and in this 4-part series, we have a very special guest joining us. Dawn Mahan is a veteran project manager with a desire to help project people succeed. Dawn's training and consulting business, PMOtraining.com, is dedicated to working with project management newbies and heart-centered leaders, guiding them through the complexities of the profession. Her book, Meet the Players in Projectland, has become a cornerstone for aspiring project managers and those who mentor others in the field. In this part 1 of our 4-part series, Dawn will share her journey, the inspiration behind her book, and why she believes it's a must-read for anyone struggling with stakeholder engagement or new to project management. Stay tuned as we explore Dawn's insights and experiences that have shaped her remarkable career. Let's dive in. Awesome. I am so excited to my Real Life PMP podcast listeners to invite into your ears the illustrious, the wonderful Dawn Mahan of PMOtraining.com. And I'm going to PMO Training. You don't do .com, right?
Well, the logo is .com. Yeah.
It is okay.
Yeah. So
that's what was seared in my brain.
Yeah, you got it. Good.
All right. Awesome. Well, Dawn, it is so great. I mean, you and we were just going through the list of like how we met each other. And I mean, I feel like we've known each other for years. It's been since the pandemic. But I want to let people hear from you directly who you are. But before I ask that question, I want to know do you remember how we met?
So I had to do some digging on that as prep for this. And I found an email from April of 17th, 2020, where I requested a meeting with you. And I made a little,
that was like 15 years ago.
It feels like forever ago. So I requested a meeting from you, and the only note I have is new LinkedIn contact. So I am usually pretty good at making a note about but maybe it was just through LinkedIn or something that I saw your stuff and was like, ooh, I want to meet her. That's my guess.
That sounds about right. I think so. Although you and I when we were thinking about this question, we were like, did someone connect us? But I think definitely it was like right at the peak of COVID too, right? So we're trying to like stay connected with each other when we're all zipped into indoors and not connecting in person. So
what a crazy time that was.
Oh my
gosh, it was
so
nuts.
Crazy.
And then all these years of this now, and I just feel still so connected to you, and I just love your vibe and what you bring to the world through your work. And I just want to thank you for having me here today on your podcast.
Ditto. Well, I'm excited to have my listeners hear what you've got going on. So with that, what's your 30-second elevator explanation as to what you do?
So I help project people succeed. And my favorite people to help are newbies and heart-centered leaders, meaning the people who actually care about people and want them to succeed too.
Oh, that's nice. Are those folks hard to find?
Yes. Which is why when I found you, I was like, my people. Yes, they can be. And this is how I've decided to discern who I work with also, whether it's, on the consulting side or partnering with somebody to deliver an event, speaking at their event or whatever, is do I feel their heart is in the right place with regard to people? And when I do, I'm all in. And when I don't, I'm busy that day.
Noted. That's so awesome. I love it. Now, where are you located? Because I always think about you in one location. I'm like, oh yeah, she's here. Where are you located in the world?
Yeah, so today you can see me. I have my turquoise background, which is I am near Key West. So I have a home outside of Key West, and so I can do the like turquoisey colors on the walls. And but I'm originally from Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, and I was in Philly for 20 years. And my
Nice.
family's in Hawaii. So you just never know where I'll be when I
And
talk
I
to
just
you.
saw you posting you were in Saudi Arabia, Dubai.
Yes,
Where were you?
I was in Riyadh and
Oh my
I
God.
flew through Dubai. Yep. Yeah.
Nice. Was that your first trip?
It was my first time in Riyadh. Yes, it was. And I got invited to speak at the Global Project Management Forum. 10,000 people registered for this. 10,000
Wow.
people. It's the biggest project management conference in the region. And I was invited to speak about creating a culture that values project management. And I did my top 10 countdown tips. And I got
I
some
love it.
that's very different. And in fact, somebody sent me in all caps, your talk was so different. And I'm like, I think that was the same guy that said it was good different and not bad different. It was so, but yes, it's a really fun one. So that was really cool. That was really, really neat. And I got to meet up with some people that I follow and am, friends with on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And I met them in person for the first time and got to hang out with them. And so that was really amazing. And what, wonderful hosts everybody were for the speakers. That was really cool.
That is so neat. Oh, I'm jealous. Well, maybe next year, maybe next year. That's great. Well, what's one fact about you that's not on your resume?
Okay, so related to the Key West and Hawaii, not central Pennsylvania, but except for the lakes, maybe. I have not met a water sport I don't like except swimming. Isn't that
What?
weird? Yeah, I know. It's so weird. I'm weird. Um, so my favorite water sports are water skiing, which nobody does anymore. But I was a slalom skier on the lakes in Pennsylvania and I loved it. My mom used to call me a marathon skier. I could ski 14 miles a day,
Wow.
one way, and then 14 miles back a day. I was a beast with this. I loved it. And then down here in the Keys, we can go scuba diving. So I love scuba diving. It's a whole other world down there. And then here's the really taxing one, which maybe you can relate to, reading a book at the beach. That I think is a
I
water
can relate to
sport.
that one. Is having your toes soaked in water count?
Yes, I'm going with yes. Reading a book on the beach is a new water sport. I think it should be Olympic sport. That's what I'm going to lobby for next.
I love it. I love it. Well, speaking of a whole new world, you wrote a book, and I would love for you to share with the audience your personal journey that led you to writing the book, Meet the Players in Projectland. And for those of you who are watching, here's the book right here. Go get a copy, but tell us about your journey. Where did it come from? The idea, everything.
Oh my gosh. So it started and I always heard this from authors because I love, love, love books. I love books from when I was a kid. I have lots of stories about books and that I tell in different talks I do and stuff. And so I never thought about writing one. I just am a big reader. And then I was in Chicago in about 2010 under, I had broken off and I had created a company, my first consulting company. And we were out in Chicago and we were doing some workshops with an organization that had new management that brought us in to help them understand how to do projects. And there's this gentleman, I will never forget him. He was such a kind soul named Jermaine. And Jermaine looked up at me and he had been at this company for over 20 years. And he looks up at me and he said, "Where's the book?" I was like, "What?" And he said, "Where's the book? I want all the stories you tell. I want the tips. I want them in book form on my desk. Where's the book?" I'm like, okay. So that was 2010. We are recording this in 2024 and the book is finally out. So he planted the seed. So you just never know when you say something to somebody that it might
Yeah.
spark something in them. And he did that for me. And then also, later, I started to write one, and I called it Welcome to Projectland, and I got some feedback, and I got I got all kinds of different feedback. And boy, when people give you feedback, look out, right? So I showed this manuscript to some people, and they were like, "It's great, you should publish it." And then I showed it to this guy that's seen tons of books. I mean, he's a guru in this space. And he goes, "Well, it's good for a self-published book. It'd be good for a self." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like, I am not putting out something that is not good for any book published anyway, in any, like, that is
Right.
good. I need it to be good because quality is important to me. I want to put out a quality product, right? So that really, I felt like I got slapped in the face. And which is fine, because then I thought, okay, I have to rethink this. And I talked to this attorney about Project Land and getting Project Land copyrighted. And so I got Project Land copyrighted. It's fully registered copyright in the consulting space.
Woo!
Yeah, in the training space. Woo, exactly. It's so exciting when an entrepreneur gets a registered, as you know, trademark. And so, sorry, not copyright, trademark. So the trademark Project Land, I have it, but books are different. So he said, "Hey, are you going to write a book?" I said, "Actually, yes, that's my plan." And he said, "Well, here's what you need to do. You need to write a small book first before you put out the big book, so that by the time the big book comes out, the registered trademark goes through because of the small book." And I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
really?" So I went to my friend Jerry, who you know, Jerry Manis, the most amazing guy. And I've known him for years and years when we worked together in Philadelphia. And he, you know, he's been traditionally published. And he has been an editor. And he's such a dear friend. And I was like, "Jerry, what do we do?" And he said, "Well, let's do it. Let's do a small." And so we talked about it. And I was like, "Well, you know what I want to do? I want to get my animal avatars out into the world." And he said, "Oh, I love that idea." And you know, Crystal, you have a big part in this because
I
you
do.
do. You do. And in fact, in the acknowledgments, everybody, Crystal's name is in the acknowledgments to this effect. And I don't think you've gotten that far in the book yet, have you? So I'm so excited to reveal this live today. So Crystal, in the back of the book in the acknowledgments, I have your name in lights because you introduced me to Udemy, and
Uh-huh.
Udemy said, "What do you got?" And I said, "I got something weird. I've got animal avatars." And they said, "We love them." And if they had
Aw.
not said, "We love them," we would not have this book today, because I just would have put them to rest with the dodo bird, you know? So instead, I was like, "They love them? What, really?" And we got to do it, and we did the course, and it was amazing, and all thanks to you. And so I thought, okay, I said to Jerry, "Let's release the animal avatars into the wild." And so it was supposed to be a small book. Well, as you can see, it is
Yes.
a
It's
full-size,
substantial.
substantial book, right? And the reason is because I was like, well, again, I want to put out a quality product that really helps people. And
Mhm.
so it wasn't enough to just be like, "Hey, here are the animal avatars." Because people have questions. Well, gee, how do I be a good one? What do I
Right.
do with this? Right? What are some stories from the trenches? So we created a full-on book that introduces the players in Project Land with the help of these animal avatars, and then also how to form them as a team, what to watch out for, and get them through the kickoff meeting and the planning workshop if you want to do one of those, and which I always recommend. And that's where it stops. So all the beginning part, and it's not just for project managers. It's for the sponsors and the steering team members and the team leads and the team members. So all the players in Project Land, because I feel like, we have a lot of material for project managers, but not enough for project managers to help the other players on the team be
Mhm.
successful. So, our audience here are probably, aspiring PMPs or PMPs themselves. And a lot of us are mentors, and, we're trying to figure out ways to get the people to get it. And so this book can definitely be used for that.
I love it. And I think that's such a huge area that we don't tackle enough. You know, you can learn all the techniques as I teach them all the time, but I always get students pulling me aside, like, this is great, but I'm having struggles with this, or I can't get this person to listen to me, or my sponsor is absent. And, you know, I can certainly share with them, you know, my insights, but I think you encapsulate it all so very well of here are the cast of characters. Like, here's what we need to deal with. This is how you can typically handle them. And I even have a book of like the top 20 challenges, but they get at the technical stuff and not at the people, which is at the heart of our projects. I mean, the PMBOK guide in this I guess the 7th edition, maybe they have it in previous editions, but definitely the 7th edition, where they say people make projects, and some variation of that. I have it spelled out somewhere on a slide deck, but it is so true, is that projects can be made or broken by the people. And if you don't know who those people are, you're going to go through a heck of a time, and even looking within yourself. Well, Dawn, you've answered a question, but I'm gonna ask the question that I was thinking about, but you really did. We're going down that path, and I definitely want to make sure that it isn't missed with folks. Is, why do you think people should read your book? Why should they read your book? And in other words, if you can fill in the blanks, if you're going through X, you should read my book because what?
Sure. Yeah, if you find the people part to be mysterious, if you are at the beginning of a project, or if you're new to the world of projects, because a lot of PMPs too that I've encountered over the years, they become a PMP because they think it's going to help them be a better project manager in the real world, and then they're mistaken. And
Mhm.
they ask all those questions that you just said, like, how do I get these people to do what I need them to do when I need them to do it in the real world? And so if you have trouble with the people side of projects, this is definitely for you. Or if you're a PMO leader or a mentor, or let's face it, just need PDUs and want a different take, a fun take, you can read it and get earned PDUs just for reading it. And you can lead conversations. You can use it as a tool to lead conversations in your organization about how to make sure the right people are selected for the right roles in the beginning, and they're set up and supported so that can become a winning team, because that's what all the bosses want, right? Is they
Mhm.
want a winning team that accomplishes the mission, and hopefully there are no dead bodies along the way. And so it all starts in the beginning, right? It's setting up
Right.
for success in the beginning. So unfortunately, and I talk about this a lot, most projects fail. The statistics are stacked against us. And I believe it's because of what you just said, which is it's the people. The people are unprepared. Of course,
Mhm.
even if the project manager is prepared, and back to the Germain story, the reason we got brought in is they hired one project manager for this company. This poor woman was speaking Greek in an organization that speaks Chicago, right? And so was having a heck of a time getting people to understand what she was trying to do, and she had no authority because the bosses were seen as other people,
Mhm.
not her. So that's why I was brought in with my team to help them learn to be effective and help them understand too, what is she talking about? Because she was very good, but they just didn't get it. The rest of the crew didn't get it. And that's what this book is meant to help.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, you've added in all these, like, if you're lost, you need to read this book. If you're new, you need to read this book. If you are frustrated with the people you work with, you need to read this book. So I hope the listeners are hearing us loud and clear why they need to get this book. And I think definitely for my upcoming indoor recess, this will be one of the giveaways for this book, for the
Oh,
event. I think
wonderful.
there are a lot of people that definitely could use the support that you provide, kind of like a mentor, right? Like,
Yeah, pocket mentor. I love that. In fact, that's
I,
what our friend Ruth Pierce said, something
yeah,
like
you know,
that.
I think I saw that. I think that's where I'm
Yes.
getting it from. Yes.
Yes, she's our coach, right? She's the
Right.
coach on the crew, and she's a master coach. She coaches coaches. She coaches us, right? So
Right.
so she said, yeah, it was as though I was carrying an expert project manager and a coach in my pocket. I was like, "Ruth, I love that.
I
So
love
sweet.
it.
That wraps up part 1 of our conversation with Dawn Mahan. I hope you found her journey and insights as inspiring as I did. Be sure to tune in next time as we continue to explore her vast knowledge and experiences in project management. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps me bring more valuable content to you. Also, check out Dawn's book, Meet the Players in Projectland, available wherever books are sold. It's a fantastic resource for anyone new to project management or those looking to improve their stakeholder engagement skills. Thank you for joining us. I'm Crystal Richards, and this is Real Life PMP Podcast. Until next time, keep managing your projects like a pro.